Hello, everybody. Welcome to a week 4 showing in the Frank's retirement home. This is going to be the Killer Kappas facing off against the Kalders Good Boys, a third place versus fourth place matchup. Who will be fighting 2C, who can play Bodega for that first seed. I'm T Pity, your main chair. I'm here with Zach Vexel as my chair too, and the Wolfie Pup on production. How we doing today, Zach?
A little bit lacking in the sleep department, but I was invited to cast, and that's enough energy that I need. Like you're saying, these third place team, fourth place team between the Killer Kappas and Calder's Good Boys. However, both teams are 2-1 with their record. We are seeing a couple bands coming out very quickly right away.
Yeah, we start out with an Athena band on and a Thanatos band on the side of the Killer Kappas, pointed towards Raw and Sniper Glenn, while the Calder's Good Boys opt to go for an Anubis and Ganesha band, who I will say the Anubis is a band strictly towards not Seox, the mid laner for Kappas. He did go 16-4 last week on that Anubis, so pretty smart to just get that out of the way. Nobody really wants to deal with someone who knows how to hit those wraps and hit that 1 2 3 combo on Anubis.
Yeah, first off, let's talk about the Defender of Olympus on Athena. This has been probably one of the biggest picks for support for us for weeks upon weeks, months upon months. She comes in and out of the meta, and when she does, she is always absolutely relevant. As you were talking about with Anubis, in my personal opinion, I want to say he is on the better end of this hybrid mage who can play in multiple different roles in the solo, in the jungle, in the mid, and you land your wraps, or you just drop your abilities on your enemy and dump kit, and there goes their health bar. One of the people who can just play the early game in comparison to most of your mage solos.
1000%. And as we follow through, we see a Raijin ban and a Wukong ban on the side of the Calder's Good Boys. Raijin, Green looked amazing on it last week. He was very dominant. I believe it was a 8-1 game last week on that. And then Wukong, just a safe solo laner. No one really wants to play against the Wukong. You just can't get him. He goes up into that ult and he can get away. Very safe to play. And first pick locked in a Baba Yaga. Now, this has some flex value, could go towards the solo lane. Probably going to see it in mid, but how do you feel about a first pick Baba Yaga?
I hate Home Sweet Home. You get so many protections, you deal so much damage, you're throwing out those pools of fire and just being an absolute nuisance. To me, Baba Yaga, especially when I see the Nike over on the other side, is you're going to dive on the Baba Yaga and you're not going to deal too much damage. She's going to be building Prophetic Cloak. She's going to be building Soul Reaver. She's going to be hitting you for percentage health while you do practically nothing to her. In my opinion, you look at this kind of pick and it's just how do you dive it? You got to take care of it in the early game because if you don't, this pick is going to get out of hand in whatever role she plays in the mid, in the solo lane, doesn't matter. You do also see the Kuzumbo over on the side of the Calder's Good Boys. Kuzumbo's another pick who, you try to dive onto the back line with the Ganesha removed. Here's a more aggressive one who's just going to start spinning around in that watery grave and disrupting the entire team fight. Then he's going to push you through an entire wave in the early game, delete your health bar, and congrats. At that point, you're just dead.
Yeah, and I will say that on the side of the Calder's Good Boys, we have not seen Raw play a Kuzumbo this year, or this season, so pretty excited to see what comes out of that. And on the other side, the Yamoja Chernobog duo lane locked in. That is global pressure coming out of the Chernobog and a solid Yamoja pick. We haven't seen Pineapple TV too much this season. We have not seen him on the Yamoja yet, but I'm sure that he'll look great on it. That's a pretty dominant duo lane coming out to match with that mid lane Baba Yaga in response to the Nike Kuzumbo. Moving towards the side of the Calder's Good Boys, in the carry position, who would you kind of look for to match that Yamoja Chernobog?
To me, I look at it, you're not going to be really matching that Chernobog's global potential, okay? The Apollo is something that's okay, but I just feel like it's not a potent enough response. Here's a good match, in my opinion, to the global potential. If you want to sit there and have the global potential, obviously it's not over in the duo lane, but the Ratatasker in the jungle is going to be able to move around the map, apply a lot of pressure to multiple sides of the map, and that's exactly what this Chernobog is going to do. Similar to how we were talking about the Athena with the Defenders of Olympus, you have the Living Nightmare on the Chernobog. The Rivers review on Yoja, you let that god scale up, you let her get to the late game, you let her do what she wants, and she's going to be potent no matter what. Just kind of dumps that ultimate across the team fight, dividing the team fight. If you're not prepared for it, if you don't have that Phantom Shell, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, and Ratatosker locked in for Sniper Glenn. We have seen him last week. He played both matches on this Ratatosker. You gotta wonder. I mean, it's been his most played god this season. Why they chose to go for Thanatos over that? But as we move forward into the bans, we see a Jing Wei on the side of the Killer Kappas pointed towards T Pity One. He does tend to play the Jingwei a lot. I do play the Jingwei a lot. And we've got the Pele band on the Calder's Good Boys pointed towards not a big deal in that jungle. And I'm looking towards this jungle matchup as one of our key ones. Two junglers that are the captains for their team, top of the rankings, and we do see that they are aware that we've got bans going towards them towards their best gods. I'm excited to see what not a big deal decides to go for in that jungle as we see the Mulan ban locked in for the Calder's Good Boys. And this is a god that Crouton Crusader has played a couple times. He's looked very good on this Mulan. And I would not be surprised if going towards the solo and he goes for maybe an Amaterasu. That is his second most played, and he looked very good on it. He likes those very aggressive, I'm gonna be up in your face type of solo laners, and a Kukulkan Khan ban locked in as the final ban on the side of Killer Kappas as T Pity hovers the Geb. Um, how are we feeling about those two bans? I know the Pele one's definitely a good one, but not conventional bans for the other three, really.
When I see the Jingwei, the Kukulkan, I'm seeing scaling, I'm seeing scaling, okay? Two really big things across those two roles. This is a pick that I do like here. I see the Izanami. It pairs well with the Kuzenbo. You get a lot of pressure in that lane if you're clearing. Is it more for the kill side of things? No, I see it as something that's going to clear the wave, apply the pressure, and Kuzenbo is going to be able to get on top of the enemy guys. He's the kill pressure in your lane. Izanami's are clear potential. You match these two together, you're going to be getting pressure in that lane, and that's all I can really say about that lane is just pressure. The Ratatasker is going to be making early rotations over there, and to me, that spells dual buff, blue buff and purple buff invades. I know which side of the map we're on. Ganking that dual lane and trying to see if we can catch this Chernobog out, using that ultimate defensively, using it to get back to lane instead of using it to rotate across the map, and that is where the whole plan is going to come into action. If you can sit there and force this Chernobog to use that ult to get back to lane, congrats. Now he's not rotating. Now you're forcing your game plan onto him. We see the Thor and the Bellona get locked in over on the side of the Killer Kappas. Thor going to try to match that global rotation potential of the Ratatasker. Ratatasker having a little bit more in the early game department than the Thor. Once he gets that Acorn online, he gets through the Cosmos at the same time. He's moving around the map, dropping on top of people. Maybe it's a 5 corn, because, I mean, that's kind of just what we see most notably. The Thor, though, with the Anvil of Dawn still has a lot of global potential, a lot of global pressure. If teams aren't warding deeply, you won't be catching this Thor on his rotations and seeing where he's going. The Bellona strikes me as very interesting, and we saw this one in a couple weeks ago. I think it's unique when it comes out. I think it requires a unique build when it comes out. And if you don't opt for that, we tend to see kind of a little bit more in the struggle department. I'm interested to see how the Killer Kappas play this pick and if they can really just bring it out to its fullest potential.
Yeah, Bologna, not one that you see picked up too much. I don't believe she had been picked up prior in this season. So a first showing for her in the Frank's retirement home. But the last lock-in was Poseidon for Green Dragon. Some solid secure. We've seen him on the Poseidon. We know he hits his Krakens. So pretty pretty good team comp coming out of Calder's Good Boys. Not anything that we haven't seen before. They other than the Kuzenbo, every god is one that they have played consistently through the season. On the side of the Killer Kappas, I will say the Baba is new. We have seen the Chernobog before in the Thor, but like you said, the Bologna facing off against Lone Wolf's Nike is going to be a big telling matchup, and I'm excited for this jungle matchup. I don't know about you, but Thor vs. Rat, two semi-global ults. Two captains of their teams, two junglers that are top of the rankings. It, I'm excited to see how they face off against each other. But I hate to put you on the spot. I'm gonna do this to you right now. Based off the team comps, what you've seen, what you're kind of seeing coming in from these builds, who are you picking for this first game?
When I look at the Killer Kappas draft, I see scaling. I see a lot of scalability potential, and I think that's very good. However, I don't see too much in terms of the early game department, how you're going to apply pressure in the early game. You have a Yamoja, sure. You have the Thor with the global ultimate potential. He's not going to match up to the Ratatasker early. He is going to get more into the mid to late game kind of thing, and those two gods kind of even out coming into the late game, but Ratatasker is going to take charge in the early game if played correctly, if building correctly. When you look over at the Kalders Good Boys side of things, they have a team comp that has early game potential, has scaling potential, but most importantly, has the ability to do objectives. I see this Izanami, I see this Poseidon, I see the potential to just get on top of an objective and blow it up, have the secure for it, and Killer Kappas won't be able to stop them from doing that.
Yeah, I think the name of the game for the College Good Boys is going to be pressure. If they can pressure out Killer Kappas early on, then it's going to be tough for them to get in. They do have good scaling with that Chernabog, with the Yamoja, like you said, with that Baba Yaga. Um, but I just think that the pressure from the College Good Boys, we'll see how they play with that. Looking into these builds, any discrepancies, anything that you see that you're like, that's interesting.
Nothing too crazy, I mean, sure, we see the Baba Yaga with the Aegis and deciding to opt for that when I feel like, you have a Kuzumbo and a Ratatasker on the other side. They're going to be getting on top of you. We do see the Ratatasker deciding to opt for that blink. Gonna get the blink, gonna get the Acorn stun, and just slow you down. If you're not careful, you're going to get caught off guard. And that is something that this Baba Yaga doesn't want to do. And that's something that Killer Kappas don't want in general. You have this scaling comp like we were just talking about. If you're not allowed to get to that point, you're going to be on the struggle bus. But if they can get to that mid to late game, it's going to be very potent for them.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I'm excited to see how this matchup goes. Both teams looking like their clear is about even on each side. Bologna got to lane a little bit earlier than the Nike on that solo lane side, but looking at an exciting first game of this super. I think it's going to be a very competitive set. Just looking at both sides, both teams match up very well across the boards with each other. There's no real big like, oh, this is where the other team's going to make a difference. I'm excited to see how Pineapple plays. He was traded to this team last week for Derry in just a straight 1-for-1 swap. So I'm excited to see how he fits into this team and works together. As you can see, both junglers are in this mid lane, just feeling each other out. Not really gonna go for anything too early on. Sniper has been known for some aggressive early plays that he tries to make in that mid lane, but not looking like he's feeling on that front today. Like we expected, pressure coming out from this Izanami Kuzumbo lane, and Bologna's boxing out Nike in that right side. Um, as for the Bologna into Nike matchup, I haven't seen it too much. What are you? How are you feeling about that playing into each other?
Well, you see, I think reason you haven't seen it too much is because there's a Bologna on the game. And that alone would be reason enough to say you're not seeing it too much. Hold that thought, though. We do see Lone Wolf getting ganked over here by not a big deal on this Thor, able to get away. That is the problem that I'm going to see, is that you got Nike on the other side. So Bologna generally tends to go for the more aggressive route. When you do go with this aggressive style build, we can see the Bluestone into the Katana. She wants to get the Golden Blade. She wants to clear. That means she wants to box. She wants to fight. You are into a Nike, though, and that is, if not Sun Wukong, the essence of I'm not going to die in this lane. I'm not going to lose lane. I might not win lane, but I'm not going to lose it.
And I think that's kind of been the name of the game for Lone Wolf in the solo and on the side of Kalders Good Boys. He's a very big Nike player. That's who he's pretty much played in every single match. And that's kind of where they found a lot of success, is playing on that solo side. While on the side of the Killer Kappas, they've seen a lot playing through that mid lane, having a lot of pressure coming out from their jungler, putting up a lot of kills per map. So I'm excited to see which lane both junglers decide is going to be their main focus. I think that if you're on the side of Killer Kappas, maybe focusing towards that solo lane, like you said, that Nike, as they are on that blue buff Crouton Crusader, getting aggressive early and does not manage to get the steal, but nice. It was a good attempt though, and as you can see, Sniper Glenn is coming over here, not gonna do too much, just coming over here, kind of giving him a little face check, letting him know he's there. I think if you're on the side of Killer Kappas, maybe like you said, go away from this Nike. She's not really going to die too often. Maybe kind of focus more towards the mid, the duo lane, and try and get an advantage in one of those lanes. You do have this Chernabog. You can try to get him ahead. Try to give him an easier time into this Izanami lane. I think that would kind of be the most benefit for Killer Kappas.
I think that would be a good idea. However, you can utilize the Chernobog's global potential with this Living Nightmare to rotate across the map onto these blue buffs over into the solo side jungle, especially right now while there's no objectives on the map. If you pair that up with the pressure that the Bologna get, yes, you might not kill the Nike. However, what you can do is you can pressure her out, get a couple levels on her, make sure she's not getting any blue buffs, make sure she's on the struggle bus over there in the lane. We already see, even with a blue buff, she's low on mana, she's low on health. If you can apply that kind of pressure over there, now that's just going to escalate a lead. And in this early portion, like I said, before any objective spawn, that's where you're going to start to see a big difference as we see Thor go up into the Anvil of Dawn, eyeballing Lone Wolf.
He's looking for that ult over. You saw them ping it on the map, and they're looking for an early kill onto this Nike, and that is going to be a great gank, great ult by this Thor, and they're gonna grab the first blood on the side of the killer Kappas. Nike playing a little too aggressive, going for that totem, and as we can see on the other side, a lot of pressure coming out from this Chernobog Yamoja lane. Not exactly what we expected to see. It appears the Kuzenbo Raw decided that he was gonna leave poor T-Petty all by himself in this 2v1. Um, early rotation, not exactly what we see too much in this meta now, but with an Izanami, you're not really you're going to be able to clear just fine even in the 2v1 as long as you don't play too aggressive. But as the Rat is ulting over on the solo lane, they want their get back onto this Bologna, and Sniper Glenn is going to pick up the kill. That is going to be one back for the Kalders. Good boys in this solo lane as we see Kuz and Poseidon going for those right mids. A lot of not too much pressure, not too much going on in this mid lane early on, as Raul decides to push Baba Yaga into the wall just to do it, just to be a Kuzenbo, you know. But a good response from Sniper Glenn on this Ratatosker to go in and grab that kill onto the Bologna. Saw she was low. Good trade back, just a 1-for-1 in the solo lane. Not too much going on.
Yeah, it's kind of exactly what I was expecting, Okay, so Ratatasker or Thor, one of them's going to go to one side. Thor's going to go up in the Anvil of Dawn, come down in that lane, maybe get a pick, maybe not, apply the pressure there. Incoming through the Cosmos immediately after, doing the exact same thing to the other side, just to kind of alleviate that pressure, return it back into their own favor. You're going to see this trade-off happening back and forth between these two semi-global ultimate junglers the entire game. I can see it now. The one thing that will be the advantages for the Thor is he has that Jotun's online. He has the 20% CDR, so he's going to make more rotations, make more ultimates as we see him again going up in the Anvil of Dawn, targeting out Lone Wolf right now, coming in with the landing and does end up connecting, gets a stun off, and picks up another kill onto Lone Wolf over here in the solo lane. I expect to see this a lot. So like I said, you'll see more come out with the 20% CDR from the Jotuns. However, the Ratataskers will be more impactful because he's going to have a little bit more damage having this 5 Corn online, being able to deal more damage.
Yeah, and it looks like Killer Kappas has made their intentions known as Izanami's going for this purple invade onto the Chernobog. Is he going to be able to grab it? There goes the 1-2 combo, and Cherno manages to get it. And they're boxing this lane, and you see Rat is up in the air. Izanami ult hits, and Rat is coming down. Kalo is on the run, and he is not going to be able to get away. That is another kill over to Sniper Glenn. A good response, and it looks like Kappas have made their intentions clear. They plan on keeping this Nike down, as there's a chase in the mid lane. Yamoja and Baba were trying to grab onto Raul Kuzenbo. Couldn't grab him. He got away, but a good response on the other side from Ratatasker, from Sniper Glenn, saying, if you're going to just keep on going towards my solo lane, I'm going to respond and just punish your ADC. Pretty good stuff. Smart from him to not just, try and follow into that solo lane. And do you think that that's a good game plan? As we have got the Bologna getting boxed by the Nike, Lone is tired of being ganked. He said, catch me in the 1v1, and Bologna Crouton Crusader is barely going to escape with his life. Do you think that that's a good plan coming out of Calder's Good Boys? If you're going to go on the right side, I will just respond right back on the left with a reverse. I'm sorry to keep talking, but Thor is showing over here, and T-Petty hightails it back to his tower. He does not want any part of what Lone Wolf has been getting on that right side.
Yeah, Thor's not going to do too much when he's crossing wards and standing right on top of him. Izanami's going to know right away, like you said, but you could see the 180 turn around him is going to go in the opposite direction. Got to make sure you clear up those wards, which we did see Chernobog do. It's going to be very important. If you can get the ward priority on your jungle side, it's going to allow these rotations to happen. As for what we were saying about pressuring one side of the map versus the other, I think that is huge. I think they made the correct decision. So you made the rotation over to solo lane. You alleviated the pressure off of the first blood over there. Cool. But it felt like the Bologna still had the advantage. It felt like the Bologna was still building a slight lead, even in the 1v1 alone. And then here comes Thor again to help create yet another impactful rotation over there. At that point, you're like, okay, well, what can we do to kind of just bring this back where it needs to be? And like we were saying before, is apply that pressure across the map. Move it somewhere else. Move your pressure and find where your advantage is going to be in lane. Because right now, this is a Nike. Yes, like we were saying, she's not going to win lane essentially, but she's not going to lose lane. Let her do her thing. Let her kind of just exist over there and really prevent this Chernobog from doing what he wants. And as we see him right now, just diving and dashing towards T-Pity at this tower line. He does have not a big deal in the area, but here comes Green Dragoon kind of just floating in the area trying to alleviate the pressure onto his ADC. Through the Cosmos does end up landing over in the solo lane. And it looks like the two members of the Kalders Good Boys are going to dive and pick up that kill on the Bologna. You know what? I guess you don't need to pressure the other side of the map. Just keep going back over here and get a nice pickup. That is a good invade, though.
Yeah, grab the blue, grab the kill, and on the other side, you saw not a big deal. Was Waiting was looking for something onto that Izanami, but like you said, good from the Kalders Good Boys, good from Sniper Glenn. He's definitely making his presence felt. He's already 3-0 in 10 minutes on this Ratatosker, but the gold difference is not too much. It's about 200 gold between the two sides. Bologna does have that level advantage on the Nike, but everything's pretty even so far. I'm liking the way both junglers are playing. They're kind of going side to side, making both lanes know, hey, we're here. We're not gonna let you guys just have a good time one on one. We're right there, ready to jump in. As we see Baba Yaga and Yamoja rotating over. There goes Chernobog, and this is going to be a Gold Fury pool from the side of the killer Kappas. Here comes Calder's Good Boys, the Rat, and Izanami are coming over. You see Green Dragon Raw starting to rotate in. Thor's still on the right side, so there's a 3v4 on this Gold Fury. And the Yamoja's low. He just goes down to Green Dragon on the Poseidon, and Green Dragon is going to be taken down in response by that Bologna. Gold Fury was pulled off, but it's looking like Killer Kappas are turning this fight around. Calder's Good Boys are on the run. Rat is in the air. Rao is on 0 health as he's stunned by the Thor. He shells. He gets away, and it's looking like the Izanami ult was used on the other side. Hits nobody, but Lone Wolf on this Nike jumping right in, letting them know that they overstepped their bounds, but a solid fight. A questionable Gold Fury pull from Kappas, but they managed to win the fight, push Calder's Good Boys back. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but things definitely could have been a lot worse, as it looks like this Bologna is just doing Bologna things and Nike doing Nike things, jumping right on in. The ult is down and he is pulling back, looking for this Gold Fury. And it looks like they decided not to. They're just all going to pull back. A solid 1-for-1 trade as someone is trying to surrender. Someone was not very happy. Green Dragon was not very happy with what happened there. Just kidding. But yeah, it looks like an accidental surrender came out. But a solid fight over the Gold Fury.
We were sitting in a T-Pity trying to just walk right into Kalo over here and just see if he could get the pick, unable to do so. Yeah, we were sitting in a SOC match, and it was going. The round just started. Someone said something stupid, and then all of a sudden, you know, somebody pushed F6. Another person followed up. Another one followed up, and we're like, guys, stop! We're about to F6 this game in the middle of SOC. It was about like, no, no, no. Watch what we're doing. The Bologna making a rotation over to this dual lane, applying the pressure onto the Chernobog, and it looks like Sniper Glenn's gonna pick up another pick over onto Kalo, and the tier 1 tower over in the dual lane is going to end up falling. Yeah, sometimes we push buttons a little bit as a joke, and we got to watch what we're doing, be a little bit careful. I didn't really like the Gold Fury call from the Killer Kappas. I felt like they didn't have enough vision to know where the members of Calder's Good Boys were at, and we did see exactly what happened because of that. You know, there is good vision from Calder's Good Boys over in that duo side jungle, whether that was just recently done or has been that way. I wasn't able to really see beforehand, but look at the ward vision. You have them bottom green pit, you have it in the gold pit, over by their purple buff, just kind of spread out nice around, creating this wall across the duo side jungle. That right there is going to allow them to have the information to see, like, as you can see right now, the members of the Killer Kappas are walking towards the Gold Fury. Yeah, we can see that. We see you all day.
Yeah, it looks like they're walking over there to D-Ward as Nike is chasing this Bologna down once again. This is non-stop action in the solo lane. And they're just, doing warrior things, hitting each other back and forth with no health bars going down as Rat is in the air coming over. It's looking like a third solo gank for Sniper Glenn and a fifth kill on that Ratatosker. He is 5-0-0 in 14 minutes. It's looking like this Rat is starting to be a problem. We said it before, he played it both games last time, and they decided Thanatos was a higher priority for the ban, but he's looking really good on this Rat, really dominant, letting his presence known, and we kind of want that a little more out of Not a Big Deal on this store. Like you said, both semi-global ults, but like you said, that ward vision is just not letting the Thor get anywhere close without somebody knowing. As Green Dragon is rotating into this left side, and here comes Rat, here comes Kuzenbo. It's looking like they might be trying to set up for something. Only Thor and Chernobog on that side as Baba Yaga and Yamoja are starting to rotate over, and they're going to see this Rat in the Gold Fury pit. And it looks like there might be a fight on this Gold Fury as Baba and Thor push up, but Rat walks away. Everyone decides that they want to be peaceful for a couple more minutes. And we are back to farming. Solid. Go ahead.
Here's the problem that I do see. Okay, so the Ratatosker, as we were saying, is building this lead, allowing him to get into the mid game very, very nicely. He's got the Jotuns online, so he's matched kind of the CDR that the Thor has. Great. Congrats. Now they both have that 20% CDR. They're global ulting constantly. You're not going to be able to respond to it too well. The problem that I do see where the Thor has the advantage going into the mid game, if he builds it so, he ended up opting for this Jotun's Hydras build. And to me, that spells I have no power. A lot of Gold Fury just getting absolutely burned by the Kalders Good Boys. The members of Killer Kappas trying to make a rotation over there. Kalo ends up falling. However, the Kalders Good Boys do pick up that Gold Fury, and a team fight is resulting.
Yeah, it was a good pick by Sniper Glenn. It looks like they called Gold Fury and sent the Rat over as the Chernobog was pushed up onto that tier 1 tower. He did end up taking it, but falls in the process, and they lose that Gold Fury as Calder's Good Boys are looking for the rotation over to the Pyromancer, just looking to start trying extending that gold lead. They're up 7-3 on the kills, but only 2k on the gold lead, but this Pyro will definitely help with that. The Ratatosker is 6-0 now, and if you're on the side of Killer Kappas, you just lost a Gold Fury, you just lost a Pyromancer, and you're about to lose this T1 tower. What are you kind of looking to do in response? I see Nike's low, and they're chasing that Nike. The Baba Yaga picks up that kill. Natsiox grabs that as Raw pushes him into the wall. Izanami is over. In comes Chernobog ulting in. A dash out from T-Pity, and they are being chased back. Calder's Good Boys is on the run. And the Thor ult comes down. That's going to be a kill for Not a Big Deal onto the Kuzenbo and the Izanami. That is a double kill for the Thor and a killing spree for him as well. They lose the Gold Fury, Pyromancer, and a T1, and they are going towards this this Fire Giant very quickly, and they're going to pull it. It's a 5v4 or 5v3 on this Fire Giant. Here comes Rat. The Nike teleports in. Poseidon is still back near Fountain. This Fire Giant is half health. Killer Kappas have 5 men on it. Calder's Good Boys only have 2. And it looks like they're setting up, looking for this steal. Nike jumps in. And here comes the Ratatosker coming on in. And Sniper Glenn grabs a kill onto the Baba Yaga. Lone Wolf grabs a kill onto the Chernobog. And that is going to be a Fire Giant for the side of Calder's Good Boys. A Sniper Glenn once more. He's 7-0. He said he wants 10-0. He's chasing down this Bologna. They're looking for the deicide as Lone Wolf is looking for this for this Thor who manages to get out. That Yamoja does fall to Sniper Glenn, and that is a successful Fire Giant steal, and it's looking like it might be a successful tier 1, maybe tier 2 tower.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. You're looking at the Killer Kappas. Okay, so same thing that we just saw with the Gold Fury. I don't feel like you have the items necessary in order to make these kind of calls. Your Thor doesn't have power. Your Chernobog does not have penetration. You're lacking 2 very important things. Your only one who's going to be really dealing any damage is going to be your Baba Yaga, and at that point, you're not shredding the objective. You're not going to be able to zone properly. It's not like your Bologna's very tanky to apply any sort of zoning, and unfortunate anti-synergy right there, but Crouton Crusader is still going to fall, as will the tier 2 tower momentarily. But you don't have power to be pulling these objectives. You don't have penetration to be pulling these. The people who you need key items on are lacking them, and this is a problem that I see with these kind of build avenues. You need to recognize where your power spikes are. You need to recognize when we can actually pull some objectives, because otherwise you're going to be making these calls to go in there a little bit early, not being dealing the damage, so taking a lot of damage instead, and then the enemy team's just going to come in and, well, clean up, clean house, and take it right out from underneath you, as we just saw.
Yeah, 100%. And this gold lead was about 200, maybe 5 or 6 minutes ago, and now it's ballooned up to a 6,000 gold lead as we saw the T2 fall in that right lane. And both teams have decided that they're done with the skirmishes and fighting for now. Izanami is in that left lane again as Rat and Thor are looking like they're going to meet at these oracles and Nike, and we might have another skirmish here as Kuzenbo decides to go in. And it looks like the Kalders Good Boys are trying to push this fight. As you see a deep ward dropped and instantly destroyed by Kalo. They're about to skirmish around this Gold Fury. And it's looking like in comes Bologna from that right side. They've got 5 men on this Gold Fury, and a fight ensues. The Chernobog 1-2 comes out. There is the Yamojo. Oh, Rat is in the air, and they are looking. They're looking, but Rat decides he's going to pull out of that fight. And both teams just returned. That's going to be another Gold Fury in the name of the Kalders Good Boys, as Raul is getting kind of aggressive on this Kuz, running up down this left lane, looking for anybody. And it looks like that the Kalders Good Boys will be following him, looking for this tier 2 tower, as Bologna and Yamoja are going towards this Pyromancer. It's looking like Bologna is just going to split push while the Kalders Good Boys are taking this tower. Yamoja's backing. Here comes Baba Yaga over, but this is going to be a free tier 2 tower on the side of the Kalders Good Boys, as they're doing some good poke damage onto Raul on the Kuzenbo. And Izanami and Nike are pushing. They want more, but they decide to drop back, leave with their tier 2 tower and their Gold Fury, and be happy. Another good skirmish, good fight out of the Kalders Good Boys. They know exactly when to pull back, as apparently T-Pitty doesn't, as he turns back around and goes back for that wave. But looking pretty solid so far from Calder's Good Boys. Pretty methodical as they're going to grab this Pyromancer, not really looking like any contest. And Bologna is still in this right lane, pushing out that wave. It's going to be a Pyromancer for Calder's Good Boys. And they're looking pretty methodical, pretty dominant. I think those two calls for Gold Fury and Fire Giant made a big difference, like you had said, as Bologna's getting chased down by the Nike on this right side in this right jungle. But not really too much going to go on there. There's no damage as Baba Yaga starts to come over, and now there is damage there. And here comes Thor as well. And Nike's just going to do Nike things and jump on out. So far, we've seen an 8,000 gold difference, 5 kill difference. What do you think is kind of the biggest difference so far in this match?
It's really been the decision making based off of the builds. And here's some decision making going on right now. Crouton Crusader finding himself in a very difficult position, getting chased down by the members of Calder Good Boys. Blink for Blink going out here in the solo lane. Nike does end up popping that ultimate through the Cosmos, going up in the air, and Ratatasker's on the hunt, kind of trying to chase down a little bit, see if they could get a pick off over here. Honestly, like I was saying, you don't really have the builds. You're making decisions based off of builds that you don't have, and it's kind of throwing you into these awkward situations. Not only the builds that you don't have, but the pressure that you don't have, and the ward vision that you don't have. You're just kind of lacking in all the avenues that you really want in order to make these kind of big objective calls, and we saw what ended up happening as a result. What the Killer Kappas need to do moving into this mid to late game, well, into this late game at this point, we're already past the mid game, is going to be, how can we cut our losses? How can we slow this burn? We need to apply the pressure across the map, and unfortunately, I do not think contesting these objectives is the way to do it. To me, I just see it as you're going to get more of your team members picked. You're going to end up falling even more. This isn't the time to make a stand. It's still basic FG. It's only 22 minutes into the game. You can still do stuff across the map and to slow this.
Yeah, and we see Calder's Good Boys looks like they were baiting that Fire Giant as they're moving in looking for more blood. They want to fight. That Yamojo Oak comes in, trapping a couple members. Bologna jumps right in on that Ratatosker, who is looking pretty low. And there's a fight over here, a 3v1, and Bologna is going to try and get out of there as Thor goes up in the air. He's looking, he wants somebody, but ultimately he decides, yeah, I'm just gonna ult to lane, get out of there. It looks like the skirmish is done. No blood was shed, but Killer Kappas managed to get Calder's Good Boys off that Fire Giant. Pretty successful from them, and you can see they put some wards down on that, got some vision on to the Fire Giant, And there's a skirmish over this beacon now. It's a 4-on-2 as T-Pity and Green Dragon are coming over. Ral and Lone Wolf just jumping right in. And there is a dead Chernabog as T-Pity ults onto him and just runs straight by that Yamoja. And it looks like Calder's good boys are going to claim his beacon as Sniper Glenn once more. Crouton picks up Rao in the back line, and there are some low health bars on both sides, but it's looking like Calder's Good Boys is going back towards his beacon to collapse on the Bologna. She might have overstayed her welcome. She got that kill. She's going after T-Pity, who does have a low health bar, but Nike's going to come and push her back, and it's looking like the chase is on for Bologna. Sniper picks up another kill. He's 9-0-2, and Calder's Good Boys is going to claim this beacon. And Sniper and T-Pity are on that Gold Fury now. So it's looking like a beacon and a Gold Fury off of losing that Fire Giant call. But successful up to a point for Killer Kappas once again, which it seems like this has kind of been like the thing with the team fights so far in this game. They start off very strong. They get the first pick. They initiate the fight, and it looks really good. And then Calder's Good Boys just turns it around.
Yeah, when I see it, it was like, okay, you know, what we were just talking about. I don't feel like that Fire Giant was too defendable. I didn't think you wanted to do that. They decided to make the decision to go and do it. Okay, cool. Now you're in this fight. Now you're getting involved. Now your team needs to be on the same target. You have a team comp that is designed to team fight. You know, you're going to be trapping people in with the River's Rebuke. You're going to be sitting there using the Home Sweet Home and just dumping that fire damage across the board as you're sitting in there looking for the picks follow up from, you know, Kalo on this Chernabog, from Not a Big Deal over here, and creating the space with Crouton Crusader on this Bologna. There's so much potential here for this team to just move from one to the next to the next to the next, and it just feels like they're kind of separated and everybody's on different pages. We see a little bit of a skirmish over here at the bottom of the pit. We see a little bit of a skirmish over there close to the mid lane, and it just doesn't feel like there's any cohesion right now going on in the comms of the Killer Kappas.
Yeah, some questionable calls. Team fights have been looking good. They can still definitely pull this game back. It's a 10K gold lead, but we've seen worse end in losses in the Walker division. Anything can really happen as the Calder's Good Boys are starting to march this Titan down mid lane. They already cleared the other Titan, but it's looking like they're going back towards this Fire Giant. They're gonna just let Killer Kappas deal with this as the Nike is doing Nike things, pulls out the Yamoja ult, and it looks like Calder's Good Boys are just gonna get a free Fire Giant, no contest, like you said, coming out from Killer Kappas. It's looking like this might be the time. Maybe try and grab a little farm while they're over there, but it looks like they want to take the fight as T-Pity grabs Crouton Crusader on this Bologna, and that is not how you want to start the fight. Jumping on in, just trying to 1v4, 1v5 against this team comp, and Nike is jumping in. They want more. They're going to grab this T2 tower, and it's looking like they want to push forward Phoenix using this Fire Giant, and that is exactly what they're going to do. Calder's Good Boys push right in. Rat is in the air. He jumps down onto this backline, and Thor goes up in the air to avoid dying to the Ratatosker. But Calder's Good Boys are going to be happy. They grab their mid Phoenix. They grab the Fire Giant, and we will see what they look for next. Once again, a questionable decision to just jump right into that 1v5 when the other team has Fire Giant buff. But
Well,
you
this
know,
is
that's just
exactly what
kind
we've
of
been saying.
been how it's
You're looking
yeah,
at
it's
it,
kind
it
of
is
just how the
basic
game.
FG. Now you lose your solo laner. Okay, you're down a member. The enemy team has Fire Giant around the belts of 5 members. They're going to start walking down the mid lane. They're going to start applying this kind of pressure, and it's just going to create this kind of mess. You need to be able to work together. Killer Cap is, as we said, what, 2 Fire Giants ago, 1 Fire Giant ago, the last Fire Giant ago, but that was almost 10 minutes ago at this point, is you need to just kind of move together as a unit, cut your losses, and decide where we need to slow this burn, how we need to do this, but they need to do that together. Sending members over to steal a Fire Giant in these kind of instances is just going to create these instances where you are down a member, now you have to defend, now you're like, okay, well, you know, we're 4v5, we lost our main front line, and Yamo just got to do the best that she can. Sure, we have a Baba Yaga with a full prophetic cloak, but she's not a frontliner, she's not a warrior, she's not this Bologna with an Oni Hunter's garb.
Yeah, and looks like Calder's Good Boys are going to want to push this far side Phoenix. This is the one you want to get down as Thor goes up in the air to get out of the embraces of the Calder's Good Boys. He ults down on the back, and here comes Izanami in the back. Here comes Chernabog also even with him. So you don't have either ADC that are just now joining up with the group. But this is going to be a Phoenix defense for the killer Kappas, as Calder's Good Boys are looking to try and end this game under 30 minutes. They go in, Yamoja ult comes down, and there goes the Kuzenbo ult as they jump in. Rat ults in, and down goes Kalo on this Chernobog, and Sniper Glim once more. He's chasing, and down goes this Yamoja, who manages to escape for a couple more seconds until Lone jumps in on top of her and grabs another kill. That's going to be 2 kills and a left Phoenix for the Calder's Good Boys, as they are looking like they're going to back up to this Gold Fury. And not really too much you can do there on the side of Killer Kappas. They're just underleveled, and kind of want to just look for more farm at this point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it feels like it's too little too late at this point. You kept making these calls to go in there and try to defend stuff where you didn't really have the ability to do so. You made some calls to take stuff where you didn't really have the ability to do so. You allowed this gold lead to get up to almost 20k at this point, 18k about right now, sitting there. That's, yeah, sure, you know, in another 10 minutes, that might not mean too much because everybody's going to be getting their 6-item online. But at this point, that's, you know, a completed starter item. That is, you know, selling this recipe and getting that 6th item online. That's upgrading your relics. That's huge at this point, because now this is the bridge where you start to see the difference between these two teams. And if the Killer Kappas can't manage to just find something, I think I need to see a little bit of a surprise play right here. And the unfortunate surprise is Crouton Crusader finding himself in a difficult position in the solo lane, getting chased down by 5 members of the Calder's Good Boys. We do see the Through the Cosmos go up in the air. That Eagles rally does come out to try to get away, but it's unfortunately not enough. Crouton Crusader gets landed on by Sniper Glenn and is getting pushed right back into the members of the Calder's Good Boys. Is gonna fall to Sniper Glenn. Another 11th pick right now for this Ratatasker, putting in absolute work.
Yeah, and that Yamojo is going to come down to block him from the Phoenix just to try and buy a little bit of extra time. But that right Phoenix is ultimately going to fall. The Bologna getting caught out of position again, and Calder's Good Boys have been really good about taking advantage of those situations as they push towards this middle. Phoenix is looking like they might be going for an end call here as we cross the 31-minute mark. But like you said, it's just too little too late. And before the game, when we saw the team comps, we said, like Kappas can survive this early game pressure, if they can survive like early into mid, and they're going to be good. They scale well, and it looks like Calder's Good Boys are going towards this Fire Giant. But we saw that early pressure come out from the Thor, who had a good couple early picks onto the Nike, but just seems like that kind of died down a little bit, and the pressure from Sniper Glenn on each lane kept up. Well, it felt like the pressure from the Thor kind of died down, and they're going to grab this EFG as Sniper grabs the Thor, and that is going to be his 12th kill. 12-0-3 on this Ratatasker, and Calder's Good Boys are marching down this middle lane. They want to end the game as the Titan has minions on it. It has fire minions on it, 2 waves, and that is going to eat the Titan's health, and that's great for the Calder's Good Boys who are trying to end this game, is that Bologna does go down to half health, and it's going to be a Titan defense with 3 waves of minions on this Titan, and Rat is up in the air, jumps down on the back line, down goes the Chernobog, and that Titan is just gone. That's going to be it. T-Pity grabs one last kill onto Baba Yaga at the end of this game, and that's going to be just a dominant game 1 coming out of Calder's Good Boys. And moving forward into game 2, if you're on the side of Killer Kappas in the draft, what are you kind of looking to do, take care of?
When it comes down to it, I look at the Killer Kappas draft. I didn't see too many issues with the draft itself. I want to say most of it comes down to the execution. Number one, you're not really building to do certain things that the way we were saying. You have a very good draft for applying pressure across the map. You know, we saw Bologna getting kind of an early lead off the back of some of the pressure that the Thor was making that we were talking about, but also a little bit on her own. And that's going to be really good. You need to take advantage of that, see that this is your lane over here that is going to be your win condition in this essence, and apply that pressure to the solo side jungle instead. When ganks were happening, invades were not. That was a huge problem. We would get a pick, but we would get a pick for nothing. We'd get the kill and walk away. No blue buff getting invaded, no purple buff getting invaded. No, it doesn't matter where on the map we were getting a kill. There was nothing following up, nothing exactly happening off of that, and that's not going to really create you a lead. I think that's where we saw a little bit of a struggle in the early game for both of these teams and why the gold difference was so low until these mid-game objectives came around. At that point, it started to seem like, okay, we're trying to take objectives, but we don't have the builds to do so. Calder's Good Boys had a team comp that allowed them to take objectives. We were talking about this early in the start of the game. You know, you have the Izanami and the Poseidon. These two right here are going to be massive for that. Not only do they have the objective Shred, but they also have the objective Burst to secure the objective. Killer Kappas don't have that ability. They have to play for the mid to late game team fights. They have to really just work together as a unit, and it just felt like there wasn't really any of that. Mix in a couple of these questionable calls come the mid late game, and you're trying to defend stuff or take stuff that you really don't have the position to take. It felt like the Killer Kappas need to just kind of regroup together, say, okay, you know, what is our team comp designed to do, and how can we play our strengths to that? If they can figure out a lane or two to pressure out, and they do just that, I think they can scale up into the mid to late game with a team comp like this. They can do just fine coming into these late game objectives, and they can allow themselves to have a nice rolling lead build in their favor, which will then end up leading to a good Titan take.
Yeah, and that is going to be our game one. We'll see moving into game two if Calder's Good Boys can continue their dominance from game one, or if the Killer Kappas can flip it around and send us to a game three. And we will be right back with you to find out. All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here for game two of the set, Calder's Good Boys versus Killer Kappas. This is the 3 seed versus the 4 seed matchup, who will be contesting to play against Bodega Hive for the number 1 seed next week. We saw the first game. Calder's Good Boys picked up the win, and so it's 1-0, and they're looking to close out this set, and it looks like they switched it up with the bans. Last time it was an Anubis and a Ganesha to start out. This time they went for the Anubis Kuzenbo. And the Killer Kappas respond once again with that Athena ban and a Ratatosker to follow up. Woo. Sniper Glenn looked amazing on in the first set. He went 13-0, I believe. And they follow up once again with the Thanatos and the Wukong. I'm back again. I'm T Pity. And I am here with Zach Vexel and Wolfie on production. How are we feeling about this game too, Zach?
Want to say I'm feeling pretty good. I'm looking towards seeing the Killer Kappas making these kind of adjustments. I liked seeing the Ratatoska get removed. That was very potent in game number one. I feel like if the Thor goes the way of the Calder's Good Boys, I'm not going to be as worried. You know, they don't have the Thanatos, they don't have the Ratatosker, and those are two very early game prevalent picks who, if you allow to do what they want in the early game, they're just going to snowball that in the late game. The Raijin does get locked in over on the side of the Calder's Good Boys, a very flexible pick, going for the mid, going for the solo. We see these mage solos. They're not out of the meta just yet. Maybe might see a little bit falling out of favor come this next patch. Maybe, hopefully, I'm sure we're all sitting there saying, hopefully, slamming our faces on our desks, but yeah. This, though, is a very dominant dual lane coming out. Ganesha and Anhur. Now, Ganesha being a little bit more on the passive end, in my opinion, kind of this midline support, however, probably one of our best supports. You can't really dive into his team if he's playing with them. He's going to silence you. He's going to grab you. He's going to, you know, trap you in the ultimate. Even if they're on the aggressive end, he's going to trap you with the ultimate. He's going to dash after you and grab you, and then he's going to silence you and prevent you from doing anything. But now you add this on her into the lane over there in the dual lane, and I just see aggression, 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 jumping on top of people, pillar impaling, and then just pairing it up with this Ganesha and really escalating that lane.
Yeah, and we saw the Raijin locked in first. In the bands, we saw that they switched out the Ganesha for a Kuzenbo, and I think that they were looking towards picking that Ganesha first, but then they saw the Raijin was open, who was not banned due to the new rat ban, so they decided Raijin Pele Charon to match up with that Ganesha on her. I do like the on her pick a lot. I know Kalo last week had a really good game on her. I think he was 5-0 on that god, so a god he's very comfortable with, very familiar with. But on the side of the Calder's Good Boys, I will say Sniper Glenn went 19-1 on this Pele in week one. So pretty good picks as we see the Mulan locked in for Crouton on this other side, another god he's very comfortable with. And it's looking like we are all looking for some comfort picks in here. Ganesha was played by Pineapple last week. On Her was played last week. Mulan was played last week. And on the other side, Raijin, Charon, and Pele were all played this season by Calder's Good Boys. And we see leading into the bans that Nike is going to be a new ban for the side of the Killer Kappas, looking to make Lone Wolf finally try a new god. Since he has only really been playing Nike this season, we will see what Calder's Good Boys decide to respond with. They go for a Discordia ban, which you don't see too often, and Killer Kappas are going to go towards Izanami. And with this last ban, before I pass it off to you to talk about the bans, the Calder's Good Boys. Okay, they're gonna wait. I'll just pass it off to you. What do you think so far of the second phase of bans?
Second phase of bans, I like the adjustments that the Killer Cappers are making. They want to alleviate some of the pressure pick over in the Calder's Good Boys duo lane. However, I don't think the Izanami is kind of where I'd be looking if I were the Calder's Good Boys. We do see the Tsukiyomi rounding out the bans of the Calder's Good Boys. The Nike, I think that's a great removal. It prevents that kind of safety net over in the solo lane. Although I do feel like this Raijin is going to make its way over there. We do see that potential with the Sun Wukong off the table, with the Nike off the table. That leaves a lot of flexibility for that Raijin, or even flexibility for the Pele, because let's be honest, that's another pick who we can play in the mid, we can play in the ADC, we can play in the solo lane, we can play in the jungle. Just there's so much potential with a god like that. The volcanic lightning damage, it's ridiculous, it's atrocious. And the way that I see a god such as the Pele allowing her to do what she wants, again, early game potential, matches that Thanatos pressure. And Erendite right now is disgusting. You know, having that extra movement speed at all times, really great item, really great pickup. Ixchel getting locked in over on the side of the Killer Kappas and an Atlas hover over for the Calder's Good Boys. I think the Ixchel, is going to apply some really good early pressure in the mid game, and that's kind of what the Killer Kappas draft is screaming to me right now is, okay, we're not going to go for the scaling team comp that we did in the early game, and I'm sorry, in game number 1, but now we're going to switch it up, go for this early to mid pressure style team comp, threaten these mid game objectives that spawn around the 12-minute mark with the beacon, with the pyromancer, and we're going to see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and it looks like T Pity having a little fun hovering that Atlas decides to lock in the Jing Wei, who Calder's Good Boys have not lost yet this season when playing that Jing Wei. So we will see how that goes. The Ixchel on the other side is one of Natsiax's main mid gods. He's very good on the Ixchel. That healing and the stun really help, and it honestly, this comp is not going to be good for this Pele moving in. They've got a lot of CC, a lot of ways to hold that Pele down. But looking towards this solo lane or mid lane, I mean, Raijin could go solo, but looking towards this solo lane, we will see what Lone Wolf decides to pick if that Raijin is not going into the solo lane. And if you are on the side of Calder's Good Boys, who are you kind of looking for here in
I
that
think
solo
I'd
or mid?
be happy sending the Raijin over to the solo lane and looking more towards something that can secure objectives well, as we did in game number 1. Unfortunately, they're going to end up sending the Raijin to the mid lane, send mages back to mid, and end up picking up this Horus. I'm kind of thinking this Horus might go towards the support role a little bit more and seeing the Karen over in the solo lane. There's good flexibility potential between these two picks across the two roles. I'm excited to see what exactly they do, although it does look like Lone Wolf is kind of sticking onto that Horus pick. Perfectly fine. The god does ridiculous amounts of damage. And the last pick coming in over on the Killer Kappa side is the Susano. I'm a little worried about this pick. I see a lot of lockdown potential from the Karen, from the Horus. Raijin just kind of being able to move away. Sure, you can pluck him out of his dash, and that's going to be really nice. But if this Pele catches you off guard, if this Karen catches you off guard, you're going to be in for a really bad time. And it's not like the Jingwei can't dash away when you're trying to pluck her. Also, I wanted to see the Mulan go into the jungle. I'm a huge, devout Mulan jungle lover. And granted, she doesn't have her buffs yet. We're going to be seeing those later this week, which is going to be massive. I still think the god has so much early game potential, and moving her around the map really allows her to show her true colors.
Yeah, and I will say I'm a big fan of playing Mulan support, even though I miss my arrow or my bow on repeat on cooldown. I miss it all over and over again. So there are different skill levels with this Mulan. I'm being towards the lower end, but I love playing it in support. So I agree with you. It needs to be moved around the map. Let us miss it, us bow missers play Mulan as good as these solo laners can too.
It's going to be very interesting to see the adaptations coming out from the Killer Kappas. Right now, we do have a lot of early game pressure across the map with the Ixchel, with the Mulan, with the Anher. And it's not saying that they're lacking any sort of scalability. You still have that Susano, which scales very well into the mid to late game. Once, the Susano is a pick who he's got to get an item online, then he's going to do something. Then he's going to get his next item online. Congrats, there's your power spike. That's going to allow you to do more. And it just kind of continues with that throughout the entirety of the game until you get to that late game spike where you're just getting in, you're one tapping people, you're just blowing them up. And if the enemy team doesn't have any response, well, congrats, you're not only blowing them up, but you're also getting out of there because the insane amount of movement that god has. And then you have that Ganesha to help kind of alleviate any sort of dive potential coming out from the Calder's Good Boys, which is going to spell danger for this Pele. She tries to get in there. Okay, well, you're just going to here's Ganesha Silence. Okay, you're going to go for a knock up. Well, I'm just going to grab onto you and hold onto you and prevent you from doing anything for a good 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. You're going to be in a world of hurt if there isn't coordination from the draft of the Calder's Good Boys.
Yeah, and just based off of these comps, are we going to see a game three here? Or are you feeling like Calder's Good Boys is going to take this second game?
I see the Calder's Good Boys made some adjustments with their draft, went for more of an early game style. If they can utilize that now, if they can get some good ganks off, but not only get good ganks off, but also get the invades off as well. Do something with those ganks, apply pressure to a lane. Then very easily we can go to a game three. If they allow the Calder's Good Boys to just kind of engage whenever they want, they don't really manage this Pele well in the early game. They allow that Jing Wei to kind of just exist over in the dual lane, which it's going to be difficult to put her down. And you picked a very aggressive pick over there with the on her as well. You have to figure out your lane that you need to play through, or your 1 to 2 lanes that you can play through, so that you can get 2/3 of the map control. Calder's Good Boys have good potential to scale this up into the late game. Meanwhile, Killer Kappas have a very great potential to take care of the early game.
Yeah, and we are having a switch up on sides. We saw that the Killer Kappas went towards getting that second pick. So we will see if that ends up being a benefit, as Lone Wolf is going to lane with pretty low health on this horse, as Mulan once again gets there first. And on this other side, on the duo lane, the Jingwei and Charon don't clear as well as the On Her and Ganesh. Big surprise. I'm sure we all expected them to clear just as well. But some pressure going on early in that duo lane. Kind of what we expected to see. The Jingwei won't really be getting online too much. The updraft is a okay clear, but it's not anything compared to what the On Her has. And so we're gonna expect to see a lot of pressure coming out of this Killer Kappa's duo lane, which means you could expect a gank coming over from the jungler of the side of Calder's Good Boys pretty early on to maybe try and relieve some of that pressure. But we might see once again, like we saw in game one, a focus on that solo lane, kind of just letting the duo laners do what they do. The carries farming as we see a skirmish going down. Sniper Glenn on this Pele is going after that Ixchel, but his health bar is dropping rapidly, and that is gonna be an escape for Sniper Glenn. A blink used to get out. Great job by Killer Kappas to force that Pele to back on level 3, but Susano and Ixchel are both low health bars, and that's a good skirmish, good way to start the game out if you're on the side of the Killer Kappas, as Ganesh does miss his dash in and his knockup, and this Jingwei is going to be putting out some good damage on those autos, but pretty worst case scenario if you're on the side of the Good Boys, but Lone Wolf doesn't want to hear any of that. He's going to grab a kill onto this Mulan early on. If you're trying to box the Horus, not bad. That's what you got to do as the Mulan, but Crouton Crusader does end up paying with his life. So a good force back from Killer Kappas on the jungle side, but good response from the Calder's Good Boys as Lone Wolf does pick up that solo kill on the right side. Solid start to this game.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to see that horse get that pick. We saw a lot of early pressure coming out from the Mulan over there right out of the gate. I felt like if she was able to utilize those first 3 levels, get the lead that she needed, she could have kind of taken control over there a little bit early. We didn't see Horus having the 3, which is really nice because you can actually teleport to your bastions and get out of there. We do see a good invade coming out over here from the Killer Kappas, but they're going to be unsuccessful. Calder's Good Boys will secure their blue buff, and now that Lone Wolf on that horse is level 5. Meanwhile, Crouton Crusader still kind of just sitting over at level 4 and needs to get a little bit more farm online after falling, and doesn't have the mana to do much. It does tick over to 5 though. But good fights in the early game, good recognition over in that mid lane fight to decide when we need to back off right here. Ral trying to dash in, see even if they could get a little bit more damage off on Kalo on this on her, but team's going to kind of return to neutral and get some farm online.
Yeah, solid and a good attempt on that invade by Crouton, recognizing that he does have the higher health bar, trying to go grab an advantage even though he did just give that kill over. But good response by Lone Wolf, manages to keep the blue on his side and take that back as the reverse is happening in this duo lane. There's a lot of pressure coming out from the side of the Kalders Good Boys on this Jingwei and Charon picks. Not exactly what you expect to see, but Killer Kappas look like they are retreating towards that purple as there's another fight going on in this solo lane, and looking like it might just be a dead Mulan, but he manages to get away. Oh, Lone grabs him and then dies to tower, so a 1-for-1 trade. But Lone Wolf showing he is playing super aggressive on this Horus, and not exactly what you'd expect to see in the duo lane or the solo lane, as you see the pressure coming out from the side of Kalders Good Boys in both lanes. Um, pretty good for them. They're up 2-1. Unfortunately, Lone does fall to the tower, but he did everything he could for that pick. As the ult comes down from Raijin and Ixchel, they just traded. That's going to be a kill for Seox, but Sniper Glenn comes and gets his little one-tap auto onto the mid laner. Both mid laners fall. Both solo laners fall. Nothing really too much out of this duo lane yet. Just a bunch of trades back and forth, but so far, a lot more action we've seen in this game one than we saw in the last game. I think at 10 minutes last time it was 2-1, so seeing a lot more action this time.
Yeah, teams applying the pressure and really trying to utilize the fact that there's a little bit of lack of vision, a little bit people stepping up a little too far as we see Sniper Glenn making a rotation over here on the Anhur, who doesn't have a lot of mana. There is that ultimate ready from the Pele. There we see the Volcanic Lightning coming out, dealing some good damage, but the Ganesha ult is great. Pineapple TV landing that and making sure to feel for his ADC. They can get away, no problem. Nothing really to expend outside of the Ganesha ult, which honestly is going to be back up very quickly. You were talking about this solo lane and how, the pressure's kind of going in a way that we didn't really expect, and I definitely agree to an extent. I see you didn't get that early pressure with the Mulan. However, the Horus over here got his first item online first. That right there, you're going to be clearing the way, out clearing the wave as the Horus. You're going to updraft the wave, knock it away, and everything over there gets the cleave auto attacks from the updraft auto, plus the Golden Blade's going to be cleaving all of them. Insta clear the wave. Now you can apply the pressure. You use Fracture on top of it. You're reducing any protections that they do have, which, looking at this Mulan's build, is absolutely none. You're reducing their base protections. Now you're dealing true damage. Congratulations. That's an easy second kill for you.
Yeah, and Lone Wolf is showing he can play gods other than the Nike, as Sniper Glenn is looking like he's going to get contested on this shield buff by the side of Killer Kappas, and they managed to grab that. He was trying to grab his second one of the game, just trying to keep the Kappas off that. As you saw, the mid or the support once again on the side of Call of Good Boys, Raul makes that early rotation over to the mid lane. As Lone misses that, hits the knockup onto this Mulan, who just doesn't have mana for a response. That could have been a kill chance there, but just no mana, not really any ability to do anything yet to this Horus. As we move towards more, as this Mulan can kind of stack that Soul Eater, get to the second item, as you said, is a third of an item behind, probably a little more now that this Horus is going to back. So not going to be doing too much damage and going to be taking a lot of damage from this Horus. And that's just not exactly what you want to see if you're on the side of the Killer Kappas from this Mulan. As you can see, the on her was getting pushed back into tower a little bit. So if you're on the side of Killer Kappas, if you're the jungler, if you're not a big deal, where are you kind of looking to try and punish the Kalders Good Boys?
I think it's very difficult to go over to dual lane. You have a Jingwei over there, which is the safest of safe hunters, okay? If you can get our utility off by working together with your ADC over there, sure, he's going to let you know, guys, I got our beads, guys, I got our ultimate, that kind of stuff. Great, now let's make a rotation over there. Now let's look to do something. If you're not really getting that, cool. We got to look at mid. We got to look over at the solo lane. This Horus is playing very aggressive, is playing very far up. And here we do see Susano making the rotation over there. Not a big deal, kind of eyeballing Lone Wolf and seeing if he can get something coming up behind, but just going to walk away and go for the blue buff invade. I think you need to recognize when somebody's standing far up like that, when they're putting themselves in these difficult positions, because they have the pressure and people get that kind of ego brain. Crouton Crusader, unfortunately, and even more unfortunately, ulting in to the 3 members of the Kalders Good Boys, finding themselves in a very difficult position, unable to get away, and Sniper Glyn does get that pickup. Lone Wolf goes up into the air right now and comes right down on top. Sniper Glyn does fall, it's not a big deal, so it's a 1-for-1 trade in this fight, which I think that is a great pickup for not a big deal onto Sniper Glyn.
Yeah, that's a one-for-one trade, but it's not over yet as this Ganesha is getting kind of low, but so is Lone Wolf. And both teams managed to get away with some low health bars, but also Kappas managed to take Lone's blue buff as well. So pretty good trade if you're on the side of Killer Kappa's managing to get a kill onto that Pele, not let her get going too much, and you get that over onto your Susano, who's going to be able to play with a lot of aggression now. And in this left lane, you can see your on her's pushing back. That pressure is kind of getting more towards this Killer Kappa's side as that successful invade onto the blue buff does put your Mulan up a level. Good play from the Susano. Well done from Not a Big Deal to try and react to the pressure that Sniper Glenn's been putting in on this map and kind of not have a repeat of game one where he started out super fast and slowed down as we move forward further into the game.
Yeah, if I'm not a big deal, I want to be looking around this map and seeing where my pressure is. Right now, this on her Kalo is 1v1ing T-Pity. And that is phenomenal. That's what you should be doing. That is what this god is designed to do. Are you going to kill the Jing Wei? 9 times out of 10, you're not. More like 11 times out of 10, you're not. She's just going to fly away if she's playing this properly. She has the vision properly. What you can do, however, make the rotations over there. Invade those purple buffs. Apply the pressure. Put her behind. Don't let her get these minion waves and just prevent her from gaining any farm, and that right there is going to allow you to build a lead, scale a lead, rotate across the map with a higher level ADC than what they have. A lot of poke wars going on over here, and Lone Wolf trying to get the better hand using the Fracture to remove any protections that Mulan might have. Here comes the ultimate from the Mulan, as Not a Big Deal is in the area. Does have that 3 onto Lone Wolf, but unable to secure the kill over there. Did have the ultimate ready, but didn't want to send the Typhoon Lone Wolf's way. I think thought that the tier 2 breastplate was enough protections to keep him alive.
Yeah, 1000%. And if you're on the side of Killer Kappas, you can see once again they have their priority. They want to put this pressure on Lone Wolf and try and keep him down. Last game he was not, as we see a contest over this blue buff, managed to be grabbed by Killer Kappas as well as the kill onto the Horus. And it looks like that is their plan as we see a rotation coming in from the mid and support of Calder's Good Boys. And that might just be a life of Mulan down at the bottom of the screen as Raijin is chasing Pele and Charon coming to meet Crouton Crusader. And this is not looking good for Mulan as they decide to back off as Ganesha was there. Ultimate was ready. Ultimate was not ready. Ultimate was used. And Mulan manages to walk away. So just a clean 1-for-0 pick for the side of Killer Kappas. And they grab Lone Wolf's purple buff once again. Solid play from Not a Big Deal. He's managing to move around a lot better on this Susano than he was on the Thor last game. Able to put that pressure down onto this Horus and just kind of keep a reminder in Lone's head, hey, if you're going to push up that much, I'll be there to meet you. I'm not afraid of coming over into that lane and helping out my solo laner. As Pele is coming up on this left side, it's looking like they might want to try and grab this on her. T-Pity uses the updraft and knocks him up. As Kalo dashes away, he does his jump, and in comes Pele. That is going to be a dead on her who uses ult right before he gets sent to the gray screen. That's going to be a pick for Sniper Glenn onto this on her, and a solid gank again from the Kalders Good Boys. Both junglers on both sides are making great plays and managing to make sure both side lanes know that they are on the map.
Yeah, what I really like is the Killer Kappas making the change from game number 1 and the early game. Now they've adapted to not only just coming over to gank just to gank, but they're getting these invades off over on the solo lane. That's going to start to put Lone Wolf behind little by little. We see a 2-level lead over there between the Horus and the Mulan. Meanwhile, this beacon fight going the way of Calder's Good Boys. Looks like even though the Ganesh ult does get dropped by Pineapple, and they're going to secure that one no problem. I like to speak too soon on this because eventually somebody just shows up and then all of a sudden the beacon gets stopped. But it looks like there we go. The Calder's Good Boys will secure that one no problem. But as you're saying, these junglers are utilizing their mobility a lot to get around the map, to apply the kind of pressure that they need, and I think that's really good, and that's a really good change from game number 1. And not to mention, they're getting invades off on top of it, which means they're going to start building leads in these respective lanes.
Yeah, and like you said, the announcer curse is real. As soon as you say, "Oh, it looks like they're gonna grab the beacon," there's a deicide, and the other
It's
team
always with
grabs the
Beacon.
phoenix, and they're just like, "Yeah, yeah, 100%." But yeah, as we see that Pele is kind of coming over towards this left side once again. We saw the Susano showed his face over there. Not really too much, but there is a lot of ward vision on the side of the Killer Kappas. So Halo is aware that the Pele is there, but looks like he does not care, and that is going to be a dead on her once again. He saw him on the wards. He had the vision up, but I think Halo thought he could get that pick onto T Pity before the Pele got over there. Did not happen, and Sniper Glenn manages to get another kill, and he's now 4-1 on this Pele once again. But this Susano is making his way over onto this right lane again, not letting Lone Wolf live, and they are attacking. The pull from Mulan comes out. The Susano ult comes down, and that is going to be a dead Horus. One kill on the left side for Pele, one kill on the right side for Susano. Good counter pressure from the Killer Kappas. Good response. We have a 6-5 game, and it looks like Kappas are looking to pull this Pyromancer and grab it. And I'm not sure if the good boys know that they're on this. Susano is there. It's a 3v1 as Green Dragon comes over. Down comes Charon ult, and Green Dragon is waiting. He wants to try and seal this. Down goes the Ganesh ult. The 4 pillars are up, and Raijin uses his ult, and it looks like they pull off of this Pyromancer. And on the other side, Kalders Good Boys take the Gold Fury. Saw them on Pyromancer and decided that they wanted to go for the Gold Fury. Good call from the Kalders Good Boys.
Yeah, if you're Killer Kappas in that instance, you need to learn to just commit to your objective call. Recognize the fact that, okay, if we make this call, well, bad stuff's gonna happen, for lack of better words, across the map. There goes the Gold Fury. It's not like they don't have the vision over there to know that the members of the Kalders Good Boys were making their way over to that Gold Fury to start and take it. You know, they saw T Pity cross the ward. They saw Sniper Glenn cross the ward, and here we see a little bit of a more aggressive engage into the Killer Kappa's jungle. On top of this, Ixchel, Nonstock's finding himself in a difficult position, forced to use the ultimate, forced to use the Aegis. Gonna have to play safe for the next couple minutes, but yeah, you need to commit to this Pyromancer. Unfortunately, that summon sticks from Karen came through and just feared everybody and really just made it difficult for them to want to stick onto it. That massive fear ultimate is annoying, you know, in the middle of a fight. No matter what you're doing, that wave just comes at you from across the map and just disrupts everything.
Yeah, and once again, we see Susano over in this left side, just kind of showing himself, making sure TPD knows he is there, and it's looking like Pele matched that rotation there on the shield buff. 2-level advantage in this carry lane, but a 3-level advantage for the Mulan over that Horus. Looking like pretty big disparities, and you can really see where the focus from both teams has been. Calder's Good Boys leaning more towards that left side duo lane, while Killer Kappas have been leaning more towards that solo lane, looking for the advantage. But mid laners have kind of just been doing their thing, just been left alone. No one really wants to go venture towards the mid lane other than the support and the mid laner. But one thing that we can say from the side of Killer Kappas, they're doing much better this game at warding than they were last game. If you look at the map, I know a couple on the left side just went down. They had wards set up near their purple, near the gold buff, near the oracles. On the other side, they've got it all throughout their own right jungle and a little bit into the enemy's right jungle. They're doing a way better job of warding, and I think that it's helping a lot as we see both junglers rotating over towards this right side, as well as Charon, Roland, Charon, and this is a box from Lone Wolf on Crouton Crusader. You're down 2 levels, Lone. You might not want to do that, and he sees not a big deal pop out, but there is 3 people coming over from the side of Calder's Good Boys. As that tier 1 tower falls, it looks like they decided they're just going to back up. Their solo laner was a little bit too low of health, and now this might be a pyro call from the side of the Killer Kappas, and there is not much of a response other than Raw from the Calder's Good Boys. They might be looking for a steal here, but that ult comes down the 4 pillars, and they steal the Pyromancer. That is a ultimate from the side of Charon, who manages to grab that off of the Killer Kappas, and a great steal as that Ganesh is in the back. He is low. He is going to fall to this Pele, and Jingwei is pressuring up that left lane, but Calder's Good Boys want to push this middle tower as Crouton Crusader. It uses that ultimate, trying to get away. It is not looking like he will be successful as that mid tower is going to fall. He manages to get out, but great play coming from Calder's Good Boys, and they look like there might be another skirmish coming in around this beacon as the Lone Wolf manages to grab Crouton. Not really too much going to happen there. They're both high enough level to where damage isn't too much. But here comes Jing Wei coming in, and looks like Horace is going to look to re-engage. That is a dead a dead Ixchel, and that is a dead Mulan, as Not a Big Deal manages to grab back one onto the Pele. That is going to be a 2-for-1 trade as the rotation from Jingwei comes in on the left lane, and that damage is insane if you get locked down from that Horus. A solid fight from Calder's Good Boys. They managed to steal, as Lone might get caught out here. He does have the on her. He does have the Ganesh coming back over, but it's looking like the blink in, the knock up, and are they going to be able to grab them a lion? They are not. Kalo manages to jump out, but another solid fight from Calder's Good Boys as they look to take this T2.
Yeah, Killer Kappas really need to start respecting this damage coming out from the Kalders Good Boys, but not only that, you know, they have gotten better vision, significantly better vision than we saw in game number 1. But it just feels like they're not really, not only, aside from respecting the damage, but respecting the presence of the members of the Kalders Good Boys. They're sitting over here where we saw Kalo over in the duo lane a little bit earlier, standing far up. Yes, he had the wards. Pele was coming over. Did he recognize it? Maybe, maybe not. The one thing's for certain is they were standing very far forward without a tier 1 tower. That means you don't have that kind of safety net that you think you do. And mix that in with what happened, you know, and here we see the Kalders Good Boys end up taking the Gold Fury at the expense of a couple ultimates over on the side of the Killer Kappas, well, mostly just Kalo on this on her, but the Kalders Good Boys members are on the chase down. Unfortunate dash in from Pineapple TV, might find themselves in a difficult position as that fracture from the Horus ends up coming through. Tycho jumps, gets spitting out, and Green Dragon ends up finding Pineapple TV, and the chase down is on. Natsuok's forced to use the Aegis, but ends up just getting absolutely deleted. Typhoon does rip through, and it looks like Not a Big Deal is going to find himself in a difficult position as he dashes into 5 members of Kalders Good Boys. Another kill going the way of Lone Wolf, and that's 3 members down for nothing, and a Gold Fury going the way of Kalders Good Boys.
Yeah, no other objectives really on the map, so they're just going to decide to back as Crouton decides he's going to invade that blue buff and looking for this XP camp as well. Just get some farm. I will say a lot better job of farming on this side of the Killer Kappas. They did have that big level discrepancy in the last game, but an unfortunate team fight once again. And this kind of happened in game 1 as well. The team fights just don't really look to be there for Killer Kappas. Calder's Good Boys are doing a great job of engaging and just kind of putting out damage before Kappas have a chance to really do anything. If you're on the side of the Kappas and you just lost a Gold Fury, you just lost 2 members, where are you kind of looking to go with this?
I am sitting back, recognizing Summon Styx's cooldown, and avoiding the Karen ult at all times. I will not do any objectives if that is up. I will not be pressuring any teamfights if that is up, because as we can see, he's just using it on cooldown. Ral really letting himself known. I think this Karen ult is really the sleeper in this game right now. Got them off the Pyromancer one time, stole the Pyromancer the second time, ripped through that Gold Fury fight, fearing the members of the Killer Kappas, and right here just securing another kill. It's been an absolute menace seeing this Karen put in work. He's 0-0-6 right now. Hasn't been there for every kill, but has been potent for the ones that he has been. Kalo dropping that on her ultimate and just no mana, no health against T-Petty. Full health, full mana, very just level 20 ADC. Not much you can do at that point.
Yeah, and the Killer Kappas are coming over to respond. You have 3 guys over here as Calder's Good Boys take that Pyromancer. It looks like the Ganesh ult is going to be used, but you are trying to chase a Jingwei who's going to jump and ult out, and he jumps right down into the hands of the other Calder's Good Boys, and that Ganesh is looking like a dead elephant as he just got caught out. They grab the Pyromancer, they grab a pick onto the other team's ADC and support, and this gold lead is at 8,000 now. If you're the side of Killer Kappas, you need to try and get something back, it feels like, because this game is starting to get out of hand.
Get something back, but if we saw what game number 1 showed us, they're going to look to do a defense here on this Fire Giant, and that's exactly what we're seeing as the members of the Killer Kappas are making their way in. Unfortunately, I just don't feel like it's the correct play. I find you sitting there, you're putting yourself in these awkward positions, you're coin flipping the objective, trying to sit there, and it's not even a even coin flip. It's like 2 sides are theirs, 1 side is yours, and you got to land it on the edge to even get the objective. But Crouton Crusader falls again to Green Dragon over here, and the members of Kalders Good Boys are just kind of chasing down, cleaning up the map. For the Killer Kappas, I feel like you need to be spreading out across the map. You need to be doing stuff elsewhere. This is basic FG. This is 23 minutes into the game. You are going to lose some towers, you're going to lose some jungle farm, but what you need to do is compensate for that. And what can we get in order to keep this gap closed? Because if you're going to be trying to just face check every single objective, you're not going to be building gold lead. You're not going to be doing stuff to counteract this pressure if and when the Kalders Good Boys do secure it.
Yeah, and there's a Phoenix defense going down for the killer. Kappa is going to be successful. The front line, Raw had to back. He was low from that tier 2 tower from tanking it, and Lone Wolf tried to go in. Blinked in, didn't really have the team with him, and his health bar is down low enough where they do have to pull out. But you saw what you said. Kalo on her was pushing down the left lane while that Phoenix defense was going on. He does manage to grab that tier 1 tower, and just kind of trying to get himself back. He is level 19, about to be level 20, so there is that level discrepancy. They still have the advantage in that solo lane, but the mid lane advantage ballooned. The duo lane was ballooned until he took that tower, and the jungle is 2 levels. So I feel like Kappas, like you said, in that game one, they were contesting these things where they just weren't really in the position at all to be contesting. And it's looking like they are circling around this Gold Fury as the steal does try and come in from Kalo, and his health bar just went 100 to 0 as Sniper Glenn picks up his 8th kill. And it looks like that might transition into a Phoenix, maybe just clean up this tier 2 tower as Killer Kappas are trying to defend it once again. You gotta question some of the play calling as the updraft gets this Mulan, who has to ult out. Good updraft from T Pity to shoot him into the group, and it's looking like this is just going to be a fight on the tier 2 as Sniper Glenn grabs one, Green Dragon grabs one, T Pity grabs one, and down goes that T2. T Pity on no health, he needs to get out of there, but looks like the Kalders Good Boys are just going to be pushing that Titan into the Phoenix. And another defense on, not meaningless, but something that you don't really need to be defending if you're the side of the Killer Kappas.
Yeah, the way that I'm seeing it, it's very much shaping up to the way that it did in game number one. The Killer Kappas are coming in here trying to face check these objectives, and the team fight's not going their way because Calder's Good Boys are doing a good job either baiting it or they just secure the objective before the Killer Kappas can even get there. Ultimates are getting expended, relics are getting expended, things are getting expended in order to make sure that the objective gets coin flipped and still not getting it, and then the Killer Kappas are finding themselves in a difficult position where they're on the back foot, they're running away, they're all spread out. It's the same thing that we said in game number one. We need the Killer Kappas to just start moving around, cut their losses, and slow the burn in other ways. Now you're going to be starting getting towards this next Fire Giant. If the Calder's Good Boys take it a little bit slower, granted, it is in a minute and a half until the Fire Giant respawns, but you're 4 minutes out from Enhanced Fire Giant. Getting up to this 30-minute mark's going to spell danger because that is a Fire Giant you have to contest. If you don't take advantage of the fact that these are early Fire Giants, these are basic Fire Giants, then if you don't take advantage of that by pressuring around the map elsewhere, taking towers, taking jungle farm, taking Gold Fury on the other end of the map, then it's only going to put you behind once this big objectives does spawn. Crouton Crusader finding himself in a difficult position, boxing T Pity, but that is a level 20 full build Hunter. You're going to kind of come up on the short end of the stick of that one.
Yeah, tried to take that one-on-one. Crouton gets caught out again. The whole squad was coming over. He uses that ult to try and get away. Just like we said, decision making. Trying to take that 1v1 there as Horus is looking like he might get collapsed on in this mid lane as the X Shell and the On Her are on that, but they back off. It is a Horus. You're not really going to do too much to it. And Calder's Good Boys are eyeing this left Phoenix. It looks like they want to go. As T Pity is stepping up towards it, 3 members of Killer Kappas are there. You have the Raijin in the mid lane with a little split push trying to push that wave in, but it seems like this left Phoenix is what the Calder's Good Boys want, and it is what they're looking for as, never mind, Jingwei backs. So it looks like there is going to be a small push, but without your carry there, there's not really too much that you can do. As Mulan is boxing Raijin in that mid lane, you have 4 members of the Killer Kappas over on this left side, and it looks like Jingwei is going towards the Fire Giant, and Charon is going too. I don't think that the Killer Kappas are aware of the fact that they are on Fire Giant. They're pulling it They're just content with dancing around this Phoenix as Fire Giant is being pulled. This is a sneaky call from Calder's Good Boys, and I don't think that Killer Kappas are aware.
To me, it doesn't matter if the Killer Kappas are aware of the Fire Giant going off or not. What matters to me is that Calder's Good Boys just sent 2 members backing right in the face of Killer Kappas. That spells go. None of them had teleport. None of them are getting back to you. You're 5 members strong here versus 3. No Fire Giant on anybody. You need to go. That is, they just gave the biggest freebie in the world to allow the Killer Kappas to come back into the game, and it just did not get taken. The Killer Kappas need to recognize this stuff, and I think it just goes back to that whole decision making. They need to sit down and really identify where their kind of shot calling is going and who's making these kind of calls, and just, okay, start to get a little bit more fluid, start to get a little bit more collective, and recognize these kind of situations that we're in, and when we can really just, like I said, go, because that was it.
Yeah, and Calder's Good Boys grab the middle Phoenix, grab that left Phoenix. Down goes a couple ults. Seahawks manages to grab the pellet. That's a double kill for T-Pity on the backline as Kalo grabs Raw on that Charon. And there are some low health bars as the Jingwei ult does come out to get out. But Raijin manages to pick up a kill on her. And if not for that last kill that Green manages to secure, I would have said that that was a win for the Killer Kappas. You defend your Phoenix, but now you've got 3 people up for the Calder's Good Boys. They're going towards this Fury. You have one Phoenix down, the other one's below half health. Not exactly what you want to see. Your mid laner, your carry, and your support get picked off. Susano is coming to face check this. He just walked right over a ward, so they know he's there, and he is just going to back off as Calder's Good Boys grab this Gold Fury. But the picks onto Sniper Glenn and Raw are going to mean that Killer Kappas have bought themselves more time to try and figure out how they can bring this game back. It is 18,000 gold difference, but like we said in game 1, no game is over until it's over. And there is Pyromancer up, which I think Calder's Good Boys will be going towards next. If you're on the side of Killer Kappas, you kind of just want to recover, maybe try and grab something in the way of farm, but it looks like their farm is pretty much cleared out. You just want to try and defend at Phoenix. You know, you can't really do too much. Fire Giant isn't up for another 3 minutes, so that Pyro was just grabbed, and T-Pity has 2 Pyro Bombs now.
Yeah, not up for another 3 minutes, but that does mean that it is still around the waist of the members of the Calder's Good Boys for another 2 minutes. They're going to pick up the Pyro, pick up another Beacon, just further extend that lead, get their final items online, and we were talking about this in game number 1. This is where you're getting your starter upgrades. This is where you're getting that 6 item, selling your recipe, getting that 6 item online. You're upgrading your relics. You're just... this is where the lead shows at this point in the game. It's still basic FG, yes. It's still like, okay, whoa. Meanwhile, Kalo absolutely just trying to get away from the onslaught of this Pele. Volcanic Lightning does rip through and forces double relics and the life of this on her. Now, this is a very dangerous Phoenix Siege on the end of the Killer Kappas. I don't know if they can defend it as well as they think. Or, well, not Seahawks alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and it looks like they are diving in. The ult comes down from Ganesh. T-Pity jumps right in and just gets melted by Natsiax on that Ixo, and without your carry, Calder's Good Boys are going to have to retreat. That's a 1-for-1 carry trade, but with what you're trying to do on the side of Calder's Good Boys, you can't be without the Jingwei. That is a very aggressive play, and he paid for it.
Yeah, T-Pity finding himself in a very difficult position, and that's just not being too aware of T-Pity's positioning, just kind of decision-making, a little bit of ego probably over there on T-Pity, you know. Just
yeah, that T-Pity guy has a huge ego. I don't like that guy at all.
all
But
my friends
yeah, you
hate
can
T-Pity.
see, yeah, everyone does, and he definitely got chewed out in the game comms for that move. But as we move forward, both teams are back to farming. A couple players backed on the side of Calder's Good Boys, but they grabbed that left Phoenix. That middle Phoenix is about to be back up, but the left one is exactly what you want to see. And with 45 seconds until this Fire Giant, you would think that they would start kind of positioning around that. Maybe try and push that wave in mid, get some ward vision up. As you can see, more wards are being placed down on the side of the Calder's Good Boys, as Killer Kappas do have a couple. It's not like they're completely blind moving into it, but I don't think that you can really contest this if you're on the side of the Kappas.
You can't, but you have to. This is Enhanced Fire Giant. This is 33 minutes into the game. You have an almost 20k gold difference between these two teams. This is the last stand. If you cannot make a play right here, whether you're all level 20, they're all level 20, there's not going to be a time where it's more even than this. Well, even is a little bit light on the word given the item situation, but this is as even as it's going to get at this point in the game. And we do see the members of Killer Kappas making the initiative come on over here. Unfortunately, it looks like Crouton Crusader is going to back for that fire wave over in the duo lane. They need to get on in here right now because that Fire Giant's health is burning down, and it looks like they're just going to back off.
Yeah, they're going to let the Kalders Good Boys have this and just back off. Plan to defend around the Phoenix, around the Titan. Those fire waves in that far side are exactly why you go for that far side Phoenix. And Calder's Good Boys just grab that free Fire Giant. If you're looking at the builds on the side of Killer Kappas, Ganesha still doesn't have his starter up. So you are looking at a very big deficit, a struggle on the side of Killer Kappas. Your support is missing an item and doesn't have the starter item up. As Calder's Good Boys just straight go into this, but your carry got focused and he is done. He is just gone as the Killer Kappas are mounting another successful defense. Mulan is jumping into that backline looking for Raijin. Down goes Ixchel. That's a double kill for good. Down goes Susano to Green Dragon, and Green Dragon grabs a double kill. This looks like this might be the game, as Kalo is the last one left. He's trying to box 1v4. Green will grab the triple kill as they push down this mid lane, and that is going to be the end of the game. Calder's Good Boys don't need a carry. They don't need T-Pity. They just decide we want to win the game anyways. And that is going to be the end of this set. Well done from the side of Calder's Good Boys to win this, despite having Raul as the support. Questionable how they even win with that guy. But
despite having Raul as the support, do you see the summon Styxes that are coming out right there? That last team fight. Okay, I'll interrupt you for that one. Raul sent a summon Styx through 5 members of the Killer Kappas, feared all 5 members, and instantly turned that team fight. He stole a Pyromancer. He got them off the Pyromancer. He completely changed the Gold Fury fight. You know what? I'm going to give that one to Raul. Raul just absolutely put up a clinic on this Karen. I was impressed. I will cut you off on that one.
Not here for the raw slander is Zach Vexel, but I am all here for it. That was a good game from the side of Calder's Good Boys. And where do you think that it kind of all went wrong on the side of Killer Kappas?
It feels like if I were to narrow it down and say one specific thing that stuck out to me the most, it was the shot calling. It was the decision making of the team of the Killer Kappas, whether it be the individual decision making or the team wide decision making. It seems like everybody's on a different page. Nobody's really making a cohesive decision to move in as a unit. We're going to go and make this play. We're going to go and do that. And, builds aside, the God picks aside, picks and bans aside. You put everything aside. It comes down to getting that experience in these situations, recognizing where the benefit was, where we struggled, where things worked out. How can we adapt this for the next time? Getting that experience on your shot caller, not putting them down, is going to be the most important thing. So when I say this, I do say this very lightly towards the Killer Kappas. Talk to your shot caller. Guys, come together as a team and just recognize these instances, if you are watching back this set, of where we could have made the go call, where we shouldn't have made the go call, where we needed to back off, where we needed to sit there and not pull these objectives. But, take instances in that last game where 2 members back in your face, when we just need to go in, recognize those situations, make those kind of adaptations, and it's really going to escalate their gameplay to the next level.
Yeah, and after winning that set, we will see Calder's Good Boys playing against Bodega Hive next week for that #1 seed, while Killer Kappas will face the winner of Ice Age versus Cyberpunk Otters, who we will be casting next, and we will see who they will be waiting for in this next week match. I've been T-Pity. This is Zach Vexel. We will see you for this next match, and have a good one.